welcome to RetroQuest, the retro video gaming podcast where I force my dad to play old video games he doesn't know anything about. I'm your host, Teenage Prodigy, and with you as always is your co-host, the Joystick Cowboy. How are you doing today, Joystick Cowboy? Meep.
That's me. That's me. That's not me, but that's me saying that. Hi, how you doing, Psycho?
I'm doing pretty good after that.
I'm doing all right. I was trying to think of what is you know the Muppets, Professor Bunsen? Oh, okay.
No.
Never mind. This is going nowhere. So how was your week, Psycho?
My week was pretty long. How about yours?
Mine was long, and it's about to be longer, but that's all right because we do the damn thing around here.
We get it done.
So, what you been up to this week in the land of video gaming and stuff?
So yeah, a few days ago, on Twitch stream, I finally beat Uncharted 1, which was I'm really glad to finally be done with that one. I don't like it that much. So yeah, and I got started on Uncharted 2, even made a cool thumbnail, that I'm going to use for my Uncharted 2 videos now. And I just essentially Photoshopped my face onto Nathan Drake's in the cover art, but it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. Trust me. And then, that's all I played this week other than Bonanza Brothers. How about you? What have you been doing gaming wise this week?
Well, surprisingly little Vampire Survivors, but still Vampire Survivors. I've more so been just dumping time into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I believe I'm not near the end, but I'm getting towards probably like maybe 3/4 of the way, or to where I think the game ends, where the story ends. I think I'm, probably maybe 3/4 of the way there. But God, that game is just so fucking amazing. Like, it's such a good game. Like the changes they made, where I think they're going with it, it's just fun to play. Like the gameplay is just fun. I just love that game so much. And then Bonanza Brothers.
It looks good too.
Oh, it is so fun. And then I have a feeling that they're gonna let me fly a fucking airship in this game at some point, because there was a point where I was on a plane and I wasn't flying it, but I was kind of moving it, and it just seemed like, this wouldn't be so hard to make this just be like the airship section. But yeah, fucking that game is fun. And then I actually got Final Fantasy 16 on a sale not too long ago. So as soon as I fucking
Isn't that the
that's
multiplayer
14. I've
one?
had 14 on my PS5 forever. I actually have it on my PC, but 16 was made by the same guys who made 14. But 14 is, I've not actually played a whole lot of 14, but I heard it's like the most amazing MMO ever. And that's why I'm kind of scared. That's why I'm scared, because, man, it's Final Fantasy plus it's an MMO. I've known lots of people that have gotten sucked into the FF14 fucking, I don't want to go down there. So I stay away. I played it on my PS5 a little bit, not too much, because I'm just like, well, it's a console, so it's a little different, but anyhow, I got FF16 to play after Rebirth, so my summer's set for a little bit. And then I've been playing Bonanza Brothers.
Nice.
Sorry. So yeah, that's been my week.
The Week in Gaming. Isn't that like the name of some kind of like article about like
I'm sure there's a
gaming
blog
news?
that's
The Week in
named that.
Gaming.
I'm sure there's a fucking Twitter account named The Week in Gaming.
The Week in Game. I feel like that was, or is that like a PlayStation thing?
Or
that
a section
I don't know.
of a magazine.
That sounds
I bet
oddly
you that's
familiar.
a section of a magazine as well, or a section of a website.
Oh yeah. That sounds
like
right.
You go to like
that sounds right. That sounds right.
Newsweek.com. It's like This Week in Gaming.
Yeah, that checks out. That's probably exactly
Just
what
off
it
the
is.
dome. I just figured it out. All right, fuck. So, we talk about the game?
Bonanza Brothers. Yeah, Bonanza Brothers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your first impressions playing it?
I have never played this game. I don't remember even a little bit about this game. I've heard of this game, never played it. I've never seen this game. So this is my very first impression of this game, or very first time with any sort of Bonanza Brother experience. And so I fired it up, and I don't know what I was expecting. Like I know it wasn't what kind of game it was before I played it, because I kind of talked to you about it. And so I knew it was kind of a side scrolling kind of, whatever. And it wasn't what I was expecting. It was nowhere near what I thought it was, even a little bit, kind of. No.
I hope in a good way.
So, I was kind of put off by the graphics at first. I'm not gonna lie. Because they seem they seem like Master System graphics, and that's kind of where I was expecting Sega Genesis graphics, regardless of what game it was. You know what I mean? I was still expecting that kind of 16-bit graphic fidelity, when it kind of looked like a Master System game, or or even kind of looked like a DOS game, like the kind of game you'd play on like Windows back in like 90 fucking. Yeah.
Really? Okay. And I guess so, I can see it.
I played through it, and yeah. What about you? What's the first time you played this game? Because you obviously have some history with this game, right?
I have quite the history with this game. So this is another one of those Sega Ultra Collection, Mega Collection, whatever games that I played when I was younger. And as I believe I've said before, that was one of like the first games I got with my PS3. And this was one of the games that I fired up like and didn't know how to play. Like one of the first few games, I just kind of was like really young, didn't know what I was doing. But then I got older. And I had a friend staying over at my house. And I was like, there was this game that I played when I was really like young, because this was a few years later. So I'm like, when I was younger, I played this game on this, and I want to see like what it is, because I don't know. So I was like, okay, let's fire it up. So me and my friend, we fire up the game, and we were pretty bad at it. We played on easy mode, and we couldn't get past like level 2. But I remember that was some of like the most fun I've had playing like just a random game, right? Because like it's you gotta imagine, like it's the middle of the night, right? We're like, my mom's coming in the room, we're pretending we're asleep like every like 30 or so minutes, so we don't get caught like being up super late, and we're like just having a blast. And so we're playing this game, and we like couldn't get very far, and we kept retrying because we didn't want to use continues. We were like, we want to get through this game. Like we want to play it and beat it as intended. And we put our heart and souls into that, and we could not beat it for the life of us, but it was so much fun. And yeah, and then I remember even after that friend stopped like hanging out with me that much at all, I kept playing the game for a while. As long as I played PS3, because I didn't get a PS4 till I was in like 5th or 6th grade. So I was on PS3 for like eons past how long everybody else was, essentially. So like, I couldn't really play games with my friends online because they all played PS4, like they all played Fortnite and stuff, because that was what was like cool at the time. So like this was just like, I played games by myself. So this was one of the games that I kept playing, and I could never beat it, no matter what. Like as I was younger, I just could not beat it. And I think that's part of what made me want to pick it too. I was like, this is a game that I've never been able to beat. I just need to see if I can do it. I need to see if it's something that I can do like on an actual playthrough, now that like I'm older and more experienced with games in general. But yeah, it's one of those games that I picked up on that little collection and tried it out, couldn't figure it out, and then I kept playing it as I got older. Kind of like Echo the Dolphin in a way.
Yeah.
Same kind of history. This game has the same like level of history as Echo the Dolphin.
All right. So a little bit of, did you do any background on this game? So this game was actually an arcade game. developed by Sega. Yeah, Sega developed this arcade game, and then they ported it to like fucking everything. It was on the Amstrad, the CPC, the Atari ST, the Commodore 64, the Amiga, the Master System, the PC Engine, TurboGrafx CD, the Genesis, the Sharp X number, whatever number that is, the ZX Spectrum or ZX Spectrum, from those across the pond. But yeah, and that kind of is probably why the graphics had to be what they were, because they probably were thinking about, it was an arcade game. It was a quarter eater. They're gonna probably port it to shit if it's successful, and it was probably released pretty early. I think in 1990 was when it was released on the Sega Genesis. So yeah, it was probably there in the arcades in like 88, 89.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it says copyright Sega 91, so I think it came out 91.
It came out 91 on the Genesis, and then in 90 in the arcades. And that's still pretty early. Like that's fucking pre Super Nintendo. That's
very early.
Yeah, so the graphics, I can forgive that.
It's weird to think how old the Sega Genesis is, like compared to like all of its like competitors. Like, especially the SNES, the SNES. It's weird to think how much older it is.
It's only a little bit older than Super Nintendo,
It's like 5 years, isn't it?
It's only a couple years. I think the Genesis came out in... Jeez, I'm not sure. Give me 1 second.
The powers of Google.
Genesis came out in August 14th in 89.
And then
I believe the Super Nintendo came out in like 92 or 91. I'm looking it up. Let's see, North America 91 August, so almost exactly a year.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it had a year start on the Genesis. And for a long time the Genesis outsold the Super Nintendo. And
that checks out.
A lot of times people think that, you think video gaming in the 90s, you think Genesis, but you think more Super Nintendo and Nintendo. Those were the, can't stop Nintendo. No, it wasn't that. Genesis came out and kind of wrecked Nintendo for a long time. I remember it.
That's funny.
It was crazy times because Nintendo is fucking a shit company. Like Nintendo owns the trademarks to a lot of my childhood memories and things I hold beloved from childhood. But as a company, Nintendo is a shithead fucking company, dude. And I think that's why Sega just kind of, is still kicking, even though it lost the battle. You know what I mean? It lost multiple battles and is still like...
It lost the war. You can reasonably say it lost the war.
Because it still is a company and it still is very, very profitable. You know what I mean? But and I hold Sega in a higher regard than Nintendo because Nintendo's a shithead company from the beginning. When they had the Nintendo and they put companies on restrictions of how many games they could make, or they told game companies that they weren't allowed to make games for other video game systems if they published on Nintendo. Like you can't get away with that shit nowadays. Like that's shithead fucking, Yeah, that's why a lot of these gaming companies would come up with subsidiaries like Ultra and fucking shit like that. Yeah,
because then they can get away with it.
They also made it so that the game manufacturers, they had the chip built into the Nintendo, so it was like so you couldn't play counterfeit cartridges, because when people wanted to make games for the Nintendo, they had to buy the blank cartridges from Nintendo as well. You could only use Nintendo cartridges that were like fabricated in the Nintendo factory somewhere to put your games on.
Yeah, but wasn't it like very easy to bypass that though?
Not by companies.
I feel like I heard about that.
Me myself, I could fucking do it. and because I'm the end user, who bought it, and I can do whatever I want with my system. You know what I mean? But as a
Imagine you get a game and in the instruction manual it says to play this game you need to dismantle your SNES and you need to do this and this to remove this.
There were companies that did go outside of that and manufacture their own cartridges that didn't require that chip. Because the only thing it was is that the cartridge required that chip to run, so you could just make your cartridge not require that chip. You know what I mean? There's companies that got sued, and Nintendo will sue the shit out of you if you fuck around with their shit. That's another thing is, yeah, me as a person who bought it can do whatever I want with it, but another company can't, do things against their policies. So it doesn't really matter if you can get around it because Nintendo still holds a monopoly on that shit. And they did for a long time until Sega came around.
Even today, they still kind of do that.
Today
where
they're
very
like the third tier. They're like the lesser system. They're like the end of Nintendo Switch.
But I mean, they're still very much so like, oh, you can't do this and this with our properties. Like if
they're
you
very litigious with their property, that's super true. But they don't have a stranglehold on the whole fucking video gaming thing.
Not at all.
I can't think of the word.
Market, the gaming market at all.
Place.
They don't hold.
They just don't have the iron. Market. They just don't have that iron grip on it, anymore. And it was kind of when Sega came around, and people were like, "Well, you know what? I can just go make games for fucking Sega because they don't care." Sega's like, "Yeah, make games for our system. You can make them for all the systems. We don't fucking care."
Games for everyone.
But yeah. So this came out on all the things, and yeah,
all of the things.
How about for anybody who hasn't played this game? Because I actually kind of feel like this is probably a rare game. I've only kind of seen the name of this game on lists and stuff. Never seen anybody play it or never heard nobody talk about it. So I feel like it's kind of a more rare game that less people have played. So why don't you describe kind of like what you do in this game?
Alrighty. So when you start the game, you're dropped in if you don't read the manual, which I have, but if you don't read the manual, you're kind of just dropped in without much information. But you start out watching this really short cutscene of this airship rising. It displays the game, and you can go to your settings, right? You can set if how many lives you're playing with, and when you start the game, you start outside. Well, okay, first it shows like
you don't have to give us a frame by frame
where you are
commentary. Just tell us what the game. Tell us about the game. Like, what is the game like? How do you play it?
Yeah, so you start at the beginning of the map. Who would have guessed? But you start there, and what you do is it's side scrolling. You go left, you go right, and it's very stealth based. So what you do is you hide around corners, right? You don't get seen. If someone sees you, you shoot them with what I assume is a tranquilizer gun, because it doesn't kill them. It just knocks them out for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I never really looked into what kind of weapon it was.
At first, I thought it was shooting because when they hit with that gun, it looks like they get hogtied, and I thought it was shooting some kind of like net thing until I realized I really looked at the sprite and I realized they just are looking weird on the ground. So basically it's funny. A side-scrolling action game with stealth in it. You take the roles of two brothers. The brothers in it. Did you see the brothers in it?
Mike and Spike. Mike and Spike, or on some systems they're I think Robo
I think that's
and
the name
Mobo.
on the arcade. Have you ever seen the movie The Blues Brothers? I was reading about the game, and they said that they were modeled after the Blues Brothers, and after I looked at that, I really saw that, and I thought that was kind of cool. But you've never seen the Blues Brothers, so
they just remind me of like the ideal like comedy partner: the tall, skinny, like straight man, and then the short, fat, funny man. That's what like I see when I look at the two brothers.
In the game, you basically the object of the game is you're dropped into a level. Your side scrolling, you can go upstairs or downstairs, and there's usually 2 or 3 different levels, and you can do, it's blocked off. Sometimes you have to go stairs on one side to the second level and then go down to the first level because there was a wall there or something. And you have to collect these objects. I'm not sure why these are the objects you have to steal, because they kind of seem like one of them looks like it's like a typewriter or a stereo or something.
Well, okay, so they actually they're location specific. So like wherever you are is dependent on what items you'll pick up. Like in the last level,
that makes more sense.
Like in the last level, I don't remember what it is, but
pyramid?
I know there's like dynamite and stuff, which if you think about it, kind of makes sense. So
you got to collect these items, and you have to collect all of these items and escape within, I think the time limit is 3 minutes. And inside these environments, there's a few things that'll stop you. There's security guards, and then eventually you get security guards that have shields. And then you get like these big fat circus guys or big fat security guys that throw bombs or something, but they look like circus guys to me for some reason.
I like how you call them circus.
The whole time I was like, oh, there's another one of those
guys.
circus guys. And then there's like these weird looking like dogs that look like they were out of that video game Balls. You ever seen that video game Balls? They look like they look like they're out of Balls.
So,
like he's out of, or Vector Man. He looks like a Vectorman dog.
Vector Man is crazy. Dog. That's insane.
And you get zip lines every now and again. You don't really get any other weapons besides your gun. You can use the environment somewhat to do this. So, but mostly it's either run and gun, super fast, or stealth.
Run and gun is definitely not advised though, because a lot I think one of the guys has a riot shield, and if you shoot him, it doesn't do anything, and he can stab you.
So I wasn't not expecting this game to be a stealth game when I started playing it, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize you could even go through it like stealthy for a minute until I kind of got frustrated, and I was trying to look up info. I looked up the instruction booklet, and I read the instruction booklet, and that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. But there is surprisingly little information on this game on the internet.
Yeah, that's what I found out too when I was doing a little bit of research. I was like, oh, this is just a me game.
That's another thing that leads me to believe this is kind of a more rare game. And I can see why. Because it is very much an arcade. I don't mean that in a negative way, but as far as I could see this game being more of a thing in the arcades than in a console. Oh
yeah, I mean, like there's like a whole thing. It's like it literally says insert 25 cents.
I just mean as far as
just in the game.
This game seems like it would have, and I'm not saying it doesn't have appeal on a console. I just see this being something that's more of an eye catcher, on a arcade system, because like I did not play a 2-player, but I can see it kind of has the 2-player thing going, like Spy versus Spy or Xenophobe, where there's co-op, and you have someone can play on the top screen and someone can play on the bottom screen. I see that being a cool thing in the arcades. Whereas if you jump on the game on the console and you're gonna play a co-op game, I don't see this being I find this would be more fun as a single player game. I don't think I would enjoy this as a co-op game. Yeah.
Really? I love this game. I like this game co-op way more than I like it single player.
Stealth games. And the reason I like stealth games is I picture stealth games as puzzle games. Like, and that's why when I play a stealth game, I always try to go stealth because I see it as a puzzle. And you got to figure out the exact sequence of events to make this, go through smooth. And that's the puzzle, is the sequence of events that you have to do in what order and the timing. And that's a puzzle. That's why I love Metal Gear. It's why I love Splinter Cell. And that's something I like to do when I feel like when someone else is involved, it makes it less fun for me. I remember they used to have Splinter Cell co-op back in the day. And I did not like it as much as playing Splinter Cell single, because I was relying on someone else's puzzle solving ability as well as mine, or me just telling them what to do the whole time while I'm doing it. I might as well be playing by myself anyway. You know what I mean? So I find it less fun. But that's just a me thing. So Anyhow, what I was saying is I could see this just be more of an appeal in an arcade environment than a console. And I'm sure this was not advertised at all because I've never heard of it, or and I was inside of the gaming sphere at this time,
Gaming
reading
community.
magazines, and that's about it because that's all we had, plus the random TV shows like Video Power and shit. Yeah, but I was not expecting stealth. And when I figured out the stealth, oh boy, that changed my opinion. Because I'm not gonna lie, I had a very sour opinion for probably the first hour of playing this game until I read the manual. And that's when I realized the stealthiness of it and I realized how it worked. Fuck, that's fucking cool.
How did you? I feel like it's very, very apparent that like it's a stealth game from the beginning.
Nothing told me it was good. Nothing told me it was going to be a stealth game. Like the graphics told me it was going to be a simple game.
Like I figured that out. Like
just looking at the graphics alone, I was like, oh, this is a game where I have to. Like my thought was like, okay, this is one of those fucking corny games where you just have to avoid the enemies and avoid the obstacles and collect the stuff fast enough to get to the exit. And that's kind of what the way I went at it at first was like, oh fuck, I have to get through this as fast as I can. Because you can jump over those guys if you time it right. You can get through this game without using any stealth. As a matter of fact, the second level I sucked at. The second level I ran through with like zero stealth. But
yeah, it's definitely possible. I'm not gonna debate. Like I'm not like
getting close to the exit on the first level, and I just was having a hard time. It wasn't until I was like, oh, there's got to be something I can look up. Why, like a thing I'm not getting. And I didn't really find anything online on Strategy Wiki or really anything. So I looked up the manual and I was reading through the manual, and that's when it kind of the controls and it was telling me what to do. So then I started going through stealthy, and that's when I found that this is a very unique game. Like there's not, I cannot think of any other games that play really like this that I can think of. This is very proto Metal Gear. Like that's kind of what this plays like Metal Gear on the NES, but from a side scrolling point of view almost. It's very unique and very fucking cool. Like
I'm glad to hear you talking positively about this game. That makes me happy.
I'm kind of surprised that I actually didn't hear about this game. Because
this was right up your alley.
This was a game I would have really digged on as a kid in the arcades or on the console. It's really unique game that I think there's a couple sequels that came from it. Let me see. I read that somewhere. I don't know if the sequels are more popular. Let's see. They did a sequel. This is great podcasting.
Yeah, we're doing great podcasting. Looking stuff
just
up.
Silence. Okay, you can get it on you can get it on Steam.
This is what the people
Bonanza
listen
Brothers
for.
on Steam. Do you know that?
Well, I'm doing that actively. That is now happening.
Robo and Mobo from the Bonanza Brothers were in Sega All Stars Racing. Ultimate Genesis Collection.
Yeah, dude, those were my favorite characters.
Dude, the Ultimate Genesis Collection has this game on it. I'm really thinking about getting the Ultimate Genesis Collection on Steam just because there's some games I want to play on there. And for some, even though I have, all my stuff on my Steam Deck, all my emulators, sometimes I just want to like not use an emulator, even though I know I'm using an emulator anyway.
99 cents. Bonanza Brothers is 99 cents on Steam.
Are there achievements for it?
Yeah. I'm checking. I believe so. Where? I don't think so. I don't see any.
No.
But also, I don't know. I don't use Steam very often, so I wouldn't know. All right.
So, the graphics on this game, I am still just not a fan of these graphics. I gotta tell you, because they do remind me of like once I saw that it was an arcade game, it made more sense, but they still kind of remind me of that Master System quality. Maybe a little bit better than Master System, but not by much. Definitely it was not pushing Genesis potential on this game. I mean, I like some of the design, just not the graphics themselves. I thought the colors were too pastel in some places. And a lot of the graphics, it was hard for me to tell what the fuck something was. Like those dogs. My God, those dogs look awful.
Yeah. That's fair. I will agree with you on that. They do not look like dogs.
And I did like the design of the characters. I like the design of the characters. I thought the fucking characters looked cool. They kind of gave me that Toe Jam and Earl vibe. You ever played Toe Jam and Earl? Well,
nope.
I think you'll like Toe Jam and Earl. But yeah, I liked it. What caught your eye as a kid to make you come back to this game to decide to play it one random night?
I think it was the multiplayer. Like the real answer, the non-juicy answer is the fact that it was a multiplayer game, and I was like trying to decide games that like I could play with my friends. The non-juicy, non-fun answer is it looked like a multiplayer game, and I wanted to see if it really was.
Trying all the different multiplayer games out, seeing what was out there. I've been there.
Yeah, that's also where I fell in love with Altered Beast. So,
what did you think about the graphics? You like the graphics?
I love them. I mean, obviously it's not pushing like for the greatness that you can get on the Sega Genesis, but I like it.
Obviously, this is a game that is near and dear to your heart, right?
Yeah, very.
Yeah, the sound is all right. I'm kind of digging on the sound. For whatever reason, it was all beeps and boops, but
the music is good.
Bad.
The music, I like the music.
Like this game, is not bad. I actually sat down and played it through the Friday night. I was like, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna go through a couple levels of this game, and then I'll play it some more tomorrow or something. I fucking started playing it, and I was gonna turn it off, and then it turned around on me once I kind of figured out what you need to do. Once I figured that out, that was the turning point. And then it became a fucking mission, and I fucking was not gonna stop until I beat this game, and I beat it. It wasn't very long either. What's it like? 10 levels?
Oh yeah, it was very short. I beat it in it's 10 levels. I beat the game in 45 minutes.
It took me like 3 hours. But how did you beat it in 45 minutes? Because let's talk about the difficulty for a minute.
Three
this
minutes.
Game is fucking hard.
I had it on hard mode too. I had it on hard mode. Like I changed up game mode to hard.
There needs to be evidence out there for the world.
Stream it. I wish I would have streamed it. That was I pulled off some crazy plays that I didn't even know I could.
I can't imagine you beating this game in 45 minutes. Have you been like secretly playing it?
Think about it like this though.
Secretly playing this game like in your spare time?
I wish. No. But I mean, think about it, right? 10 levels, 3 minutes per level, 30 minutes of perfect playthrough, so 45.
Like a fucking, if you haven't played this game in years and somehow you're doing an excuse me, you're doing a near perfect playthrough.
Yeah.
What kind of cheats did you have on? He's like, I ran through the game in slow motion.
What? No, I did great. Like I was just good. It maybe because I played it so much. Like as I said, I played it on and off. So like it wasn't a game that I was ever like. I never stopped playing it. You know, you never stop playing Bonanza Brothers. You just take really long breaks between the times you play it.
Oh, Sacco. Oh, Teenage Prodigy.
So I never lost like. Oh, Teenage Prodigy. He's crazy. I guess I just never lost what I had. When I say that, I ever beat this game before. This was my first time ever beating the game, and it was a near perfect run.
I'm gonna kind of just leave that there. I'm not gonna say whether I believe you or whether I don't believe you. Oh,
I know you don't believe me. You don't have to. That doesn't change the fact that it's true.
It doesn't change anything. Doesn't change my mind either.
Dang, I thought that was a very solid way to make you believe me. That sounded really good in my head.
Oh, Sacco.
That sounded solid in my mind.
So yeah, I did like this game. It wasn't bad. It really, really found it interesting. I probably will come back to this game because this was a game I'm really happy I played, and I'm really sorry I did not play back in the day. This would have been one of those games that I would have downloaded on Sega Channel and left on my fucking Sega Channel thing for like a week until I fucking mastered it. This would have been right up my alley. This is exactly the kind of puzzle stealth game where there is a right way to go through it. You just have to figure out the pattern. It's and that's when stealth games get super, super complicated. That's when they kind of lose that. They become so freeform that there is no, there's a pattern, there's a perfect way to get through this. I mean, there are multiple perfect ways, that makes it less of a puzzle. I look at something like a puzzle game where it's like, okay, there's going to be one perfect way to do it, and then the other ways are going to kind of suck, but they'll get you through it. You know what I mean? This game, you can get through it without being stealthy. It's going to kind of suck, but it's so satisfying when you just figure that pattern out and then you pull it off, because first you have to figure out the pattern. That's the first part of the puzzle, is figuring out how you duck behind things and waiting on how many beats do those guards look left and right before they move, But then once you figure out that pattern, then you still have to perform that pattern and time it correctly, because timing is a big thing in this game.
Oh yeah. Very important. Because you generally have like near millisecond, like near frame precision on some things, or you're gonna get seen.
And you have to count down like perfectly when those guards, so they turn their back and you can run. I tried to avoid shooting, although this is one of those stealth games where you kind of do have to shoot. Like that's part of it. There are some of those, but there is no like, if you shoot your gun, it's gonna alert the guards. So, it's fine if you shoot another guard, as long as you're not in their field of vision, you're good. I really liked? I really liked when you open the doors near a guard and it slammed him into the wall. I thought that was fucking really, I wish there was more of that.
That makes me laugh.
I wish there was more of that in this game. Because there wasn't a whole lot of that. There was the doors that you slam. And then there's those random levers throughout the game where you pull them and like,
that you just pull and it like smashes down, and it's like, what is this here
just like
for?
A compactor just in the middle of like this hallway in a jewelry store. It's like, what the fuck is this here for? What are we doing? Like I know the whole premise of the game is you're not thieves. You're hired by some guy to break into his like stuff and test his security.
And and he pays you. Which his security is really bad, considering we get through 10 buildings and never get caught.
Not only that, like, he has security guards that stab people and shit and throw bombs. That seems less of a security guard, more like a fucking liability. You're gonna fucking throw bombs in this jewelry store, and you got zip lines and yeah.
Yeah, also, why does he have zip lines just hanging around his buildings?
Also, I think when you
like,
game over
businesses, why are there zip lines?
Don't you go to jail? So was this just a whole setup? Like this guy was just setting these guys up? Yeah. Is that the whole like meta story behind this game? Because they don't necessarily ever say that, but I just realized that.
Well, because in the Japanese version, there is no they're hired. It's just
I got
robbers.
you. When they ported it here or to certain countries, I'm sure they had to censor it and make it not, you're playing as two thieves. No, you're playing as two guys hired by a guy. Okay. So, but essentially you're just two thieves. Two burglars.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So basically these guys are robbing banks and mansions and casinos and an art gallery and a fucking pyramid.
Yeah, we go tomb raiding. Literally.
That pyramid level, for whatever reason, that annoyed me.
That was the reason it took me 45 minutes and not 30.
That pyramid level really fucking annoyed me for whatever reason. Like that's actually the level that gave me like the most difficulty. This game really didn't. This game is a difficult game.
Oh yeah. Did you what game like? Did you play it on normal or did you change the difficulty?
Or what
I played it on hard.
It just I didn't go to any of the options. So does it just default to normal?
Okay, yeah, it defaults to normal.
And I might want to go back and play it on hard because this game was hard, but it wasn't necessarily hard for me too much because like I've played so much the fuck out of Metal Gear. You know, I got Metal Gear fucking platinum fucking trophies on the HD collections on the PS3s. You know, about to get them on the new collections that just came out. I mean, I love me some fucking stealth games. We're gonna probably end up playing the Metal Gear for the NES soon. Like that's a really good one. Like just love me some stealth games. And this is a stealth game. Except for level 2. Level 2 gave me trouble. And level 2 was when I did figure out that this is really like a Metal Gear kind of stealth game where you can run and gun this shit. Because I just ran through, jumped over obstacles, shoot the guys at the right time. I timed my bullets to get guys as they came on screen. Because I had such a hard time with level 2. The rest of the levels, once I kind of got in my groove, because level 2 was when I first kind of was just getting that, realizing how the stealth was, and I had just gone through trying to run and gun it at level 1 for like an hour, so I was still kind of, I think my mindset was just like, just get the fucking level done. And then when I got to the 3rd level, I started being very methodical. But what this game has that a lot of stealth games don't have is a fucking timer. Who fucking puts a timer on a stealth game?
Yeah. 3-minute timer for every level.
Every level. And the levels get bigger and bigger. Timer doesn't go up. Levels get bigger. And you get to collect more shit, more obstacles. That was, I think, the thing that made it frustrating for me.
The difficulty curve is that the maps get bigger and you have to collect more stuff, but the timer stays the same. That's the difficulty curve in this game.
It was a timer. Like I like to think things through, especially when it comes to a stealth game. And they're assholes too.
But I think that's part of the point.
Assholes.
I think that's part of the point.
Game, they have a big old fucking block that says pause covering the menu. So I can't even pause it and look at the fucking or the map. I can't even look at the map for a minute. Like I have to actively be staring at the map while my timer's running down. When I only got, and there were some levels I finished literally in seconds to go. Like I would had less than most 10 of them seconds, and I was barely making it up them fucking stairs. I think that's the one thing that might deter me from playing it on hard. Is that timer, because I can't think of many stealth games period from this far back, but I mean I can't think of many games with stealth games that have a timer. Maybe levels that are timed or areas or sections that are timed, but not necessarily like
the entire game is timed.
It's stealth. Figure it out. 3 minutes. And the thing that sucks with the timer doing a stealth situation is a lot of stealthiness is waiting. You have to wait for that guard to do his round and then walk in the other direction. You have to wait for this guy to walk near the door so I can open it. So that's what makes the timer on a stealth game frustrating. Is there are parts of the stealth concept that is just waiting for an opportunity. And I really could have done without the timer on this game. Like, I think that was
I don't know. Me personally, I would say the timer kind of is what makes this game what it is. Like that's what gives this game like but like obviously there's like the whole door things and everything, but like the thing that makes this game the stealth game that it is specifically is the timer, because like you have to stealth it to like do pretty good. You have to you have to stealth it, right? But you have to be on your toes. You can't sit there for like 15 seconds in one spot, or else you're probably gonna run out of time. Like it's very on your toes thinking, but you still need to not get caught. And I think that's what like is kind of the beauty of this game. It does, like, obviously you can keep playing through a level and keep playing through it over and over and over, and you can like build strategies, but like on just like your first run through, you just have to be on your toes, try not to get caught. But like if you get caught, you can't do anything about it. You just have to deal with it, and you have to keep after that point trying not to get caught anymore. And because if you get caught, it's generally a time loss. Getting caught generally doesn't save you time. It generally is a big time loss, especially if you get like, especially if there's like 3 people on you. You're either going to get downed or spend a long time trying to take them all out. So like being on your toes, but still having to think through what you're doing, I think is what like makes this game so beautiful for what it is.
I guess
because it's like
the time really wouldn't be an issue on your first few run throughs, because that's when you're learning where things are and stuff. And once you've gone through it, you're just refining. So
yeah,
I can kind of forgive it for that, but I still that was the frustration for me.
That's fair. Like I can see that, but still, to me, that's what and that might not be it at all. I might be misreading it, but to me, that's what kind of makes this game what it is.
Okay.
Because like imagine if there was like, let's say there's no timer. That kind of like, then this game becomes a very, very easy stealth game.
It becomes easy because it's still just you have to figure the pattern out and go through. I mean, that's, Metal Gear. There's no timer on Metal Gear, and it's the same concept of figure out the pattern or make your own pattern that's not going to be optimal. I mean, you can make your own solution, but it's not going to be the optimal solution. The optimal solution is, the optimal solution. And it's kind of figuring that out, watching patterns. That's a lot about what the stealth is watching patterns, figuring out a pattern. So I guess once you've played through this game, or played through a level a couple times, you learn the patterns, then the timer becomes less of a detriment. But I think picking up and playing this game with the timer, that was my frustration. Even once I figured out the stealthness, was because, well, okay, now I got to try to do my whole stealth thing, but with 3 minutes time. I mean, I didn't do bad, but that was the frustration.
I didn't do bad, but
yeah,
I can see that. I can see where the frustration comes from, but I still definitely hold my ground on the idea that that's kind of what made this game what it is to me.
It was kind of a short game, so it's the kind of game you're, to get play value out of it, you're going to go through multiple times.
Yeah, especially if you pay for this game.
Especially if you pay for the game. I wouldn't. This is the kind of game where I wouldn't have felt bad if I would have got this game randomly on a birthday or something. If someone was getting me a Genesis game for my birthday or Christmas or something, and I always got sometimes some random fucking games. This would probably be a game that I would cherish. I would probably have a lot of nostalgia for this game because I would have.
This would have been one of the games you picked.
One of those games when nobody heard of, and I was always talking about Bonanza Brothers, and people were like, "Shut the fuck up! We don't care about no Bonanza Brothers." Bonanza Brothers. That even kind of okay. I think this. For some reason, it just dawned on me. I can see this. It probably is a definite like rip off of the Blues Brothers, because Bonanza Brothers, Blues Brothers, get it? I think that just dawned on me. Sorry. I'm sure that was very obvious to everybody else, except for me till just now.
Really? I guess, that makes sense. That just sounds like, I don't know, Bonanza Bros. Like,
yeah, but they're even modeled out.
That'd be like trying to stretch it and say
after the fucking Blues Brothers.
Yeah, but like, I mean, that's just because it has brothers.
But
in
also
it,
the developers even said that they like the idea came from the Blues Brothers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you already said that. Never mind.
I don't know why you're arguing with me. Come on, get your shit together, Sako.
My bad. I just
had the need to argue with me about something. Jeez, come on, dude, come on.
We're agreeing too much this episode. This is unusual.
It's Bonanza Brothers, man. It's infectious.
That's so fair. I can't even argue with that.
It's the syphilis of Sega Genesis games.
Oh no. I retracted the syphilis of Sega games before my dad did.
I got it because of you. Oh no.
Oh no.
So Bonanza Brothers for the Sega Genesis.
Wait.
Yeah. I wish there was more to this game. Really.
Me too. I've always talked about it whenever I talk about this game. They could remake this game. It wouldn't be hard to remake this game for like today's audience.
I'm willing to bet that there's probably a few games on Steam that have taken this game as inspiration of like, some indie game that it's basically this game, but with different graphics, I could definitely see this game. I could see being an indie game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I can definitely see that.
I said, this game kind of reminds me of a computer game, just kind of the way it works and plays. And I don't say it as a bad way. It reminds me of an old DOS game or like a Windows fucking 3 game. I could see this being a Flash game even. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Well, yeah, Flash games are great.
Oh, that's right. You're young. Never mind. But
I played all the good Flash games like Happy Wheels and anything on Newgrounds back when Newgrounds was good.
Alien Hominid as a Flash game. That was fucking cool. That was when I playing Alien Hominid as a Flash game was the first time I played a Flash game, and I was like, oh man, Flash games aren't all just fucking garbage. Because that was my at the time my thought was Flash games are fucking garbage.
Yes, blame the platform, not the creator.
It was the fact that I had never played a fucking Flash game that I didn't say this is garbage. Multiple creators, multiple occasions. Of them are. Maybe I just didn't find the right ones. After that I played several. I went back and I looked for the good ones, but
like sure. Fancy Pants.
But mostly I just yeah. Huh. Fancy Pants, huh?
Yeah. You've never played Fancy Pants? I don't know if that's what it's called, but it's about like a stick man who wears nice pants and he does platforming. It's like real, and it's really good, like platformer game too. I play it sometimes even now. It's like, it doesn't play like really any other platformer I've played, at least. It's like very, very like, it's very smooth and like, right, every movement is very reactive to the to its previous movements.
Okay.
Right, so if you're running and you
okay, so Happy Pants. Maybe I'll look at it sometime. It's a Flash game?
It's not. Well, Fancy Pants 3 isn't a Flash game, which is why you can play it, because remember Flash got shut down.
You can still play Flash games. You can still install. You can still like get a Flash game and play it on a Flash player.
Well, yeah, but I'm too lazy for all that. But like Fancy Pants 3 is the one I play, because that one's not a Flash game, but it plays like the first two mostly, except for just better, I guess. Okay.
I never did find what the sequels to this game. I wouldn't mind checking out the sequels to this game.
If it has sequels, me neither, actually. I kind of want to know now. This seems like this is a game I put so much time into as a kid. If it has sequels, I need to at least like look at them.
You know, one of the back in the game when this, I just got to say this, back in the day when this game was released, it got a review, and this guy from Computer and Video Games praised the arcade game's originality and stunning graphics. Like, the originality is on par with my thoughts, but stunning graphics, even for 1990, these aren't even great graphics.
I wouldn't call them like
I wouldn't call them
graphics.
bad
I just like them
either, but they weren't. I didn't look at them like, oh, check it out. Okay, so it got 3 spin-offs: Puzzle and Action, Taint R, and Puzzle and Action,
Puzzle and Action, Ickdont R, and it doesn't. Oh, Puzzle and Action Treasure Hunt.
Okay.
And then there also is a Bonanza Brothers slot machine.
Of course there is, because Japan. I'm surprised it ain't a pachinko machine.
That's crazy.
Puzzle and Action, Taint R.
That's so cool that it mentions that Robo and Mobo were playable characters in Sega and Sega All-Stars Racing, because those were the 2 characters I played the most in that. Like in Sonic All-Star Racing, I always played Robo and Moto. Although I thought in Sonic All-Star Racing they were called Mike and Spike.
It looks like those 2 spin-offs are not like this game at all. They're like puzzle. Yeah, they're like actual puzzle. No shit. They're called Puzzle and Action. They're fucking puzzle games. They took the stealth part out and just made them straight up puzzle games. See, I told you, they're like puzzles. That's the part where they're like the same. Whatever.
That's so sad. They took like the best aspect of this game out to make the spin-offs.
Whatever. So this was a one-off game that I think was amazing. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm really glad you brought this game to my attention. I kind of thought you were going to be bringing me some games and I was going to mock you for them. But so far you brought me Echo, which I played before but never played before until now. And now I can say I'm really looking forward to when we play the sequel one day, because I never played any of the sequel. There's a sequel on I think the Game Gear, and then the one on I remember the Echo Tides of Time on the Genesis was highly praised as a really good game. So who knows? Kind of looking forward to it now.
You really underestimated my my like younger childhood. Like, you thought I played all the like base,
but
like starter pack games.
This one could have this one I can see could have very easily not been something up my alley had it not been for the stealth aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but that's the whole reason I like it. So like obviously I knew that you'd like it. Like, I picked the game because I was like, ooh, this is one like we could just play and Dad would like it.
So let's wrap this fucker up and put a bow on it. So it is on the Sega Genesis. That's what I played it on. So it's a 16 bits. Even though it was on 8-bit consoles and fucking shit. But we're going to go with 16 bits because that is the version we played for the show. So out of 16 bits, my good sir, what would you give Bonanza Brothers?
A whopping 15.
15. What do you knocking a point off of it for?
I wish it was longer.
Okay, yeah.
If this game had even one more level, I think I would give it 16. But just 10 levels, I beat it in 45 minutes. Like, it didn't feel long enough. I was really disappointed because little me thought there was so much to this game. I thought it was like going to be like, when I finally beat it, it was going to be like this 8-hour game that I had to keep coming back to, and like No, it was a 45-minute thing I completed at 15 years old.
Okay.
Little me is disappointed. 15-year-old me is pretty happy, but little me is pretty disappointed right now.
Okay. So let's see. Out of 16 bits, I think I am going to give it. I'm going to give it a solid 13. Now I am knocking points off of it because of the timer. That was a huge frustration for me. That made me it made me, I mean, I liked the game as a stealth game, but the timer it made me not enjoy stealth in the way I want to enjoy it. It put that boundary on my enjoyment, if that makes sense. Because I do, like I said, I like to take time and figure it out. And this being my first playthrough and my only playthrough, that did matter to me. I'm sure on subsequent playthroughs, because I will probably go back to this game because I did enjoy it. That won't be such of a big issue for me. But as a person sitting down for the first time, not knowing the layouts of these levels, trying to figure out the stealthiness on the fly, it just made it less fun for me. It doesn't make it objectively any less fun of a game. Just for me, my score, that's the thing I had to knock off. All right. Another thing I had to knock off was I just really did not enjoy the graphics. A lot of times I found it the graphics distracting sometimes, if that makes sense. Not enough to really be a big issue, but the graphics kind of distracted me sometimes. And I had to, take some points off for the fucking controls. We didn't talk about the controls. The controls,
I like the controls.
the gun, shooting the gun is responsive. Moving back and forth is somewhat responsive. Like there seems to be a little bit moving up and down between the foreground and the background. Sometimes
that's really fast. I feel like moving up and down between the foreground is really fast, but sometimes like when you like try to move left and right is like the biggest issue.
My biggest issue too was the fucking jump. Was there a delay on your jump?
You jump. Yeah, you jump and it's like a second after you press the button, then you jump and you can't jump for like 2 seconds after that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the controls. That was probably besides the timer is the bigger issue because I wasn't able, and I knew it wasn't like a delay on the input because the gun was just fine. The boom, boom, boom,
real fast.
It was the jump and then the delay after the jump. And then the fact that you jump so slow. The controls and the timer were basically, the big things that knocked it off for me. The graphics, they factored in there too. But I did enjoy this game. I actually thought the game was the perfect length. I think this was the perfect game where once like you said, you sat down and beat it in 45 minutes. That's the kind of game where you can sit down and be like, all right, I have an hour to spare, or I have 45 minutes to spare. I'm going to see if I can speed run through Bonanza Brothers real quick. I like that kind of game. Like this is the kind of game, like I have games like that where like I know it's not going to take me long to beat it. I'm going to sit down and see how long it takes. I used to do that Mario 3 all the time. Like when I had Mario 3 on my Wii, on my virtual console, I would do that at least once a day. I'd sit down, I got about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to beat Mario 3 and I'd start it and beat it from the beginning. Just not speed running it, not going for a record, not going for points. Just, I like Mario 3. I'm going to play through Mario 3. And I played through Mario 3 like every day for like a minute. Not every day probably, but it was a thing where I had some time pretty often and then it kind of tapered out. But I could see this being one of those kind of games. Oh, I got some time. I'm going to sit down and play through Bonanza Brothers. If I got a little bit more time, well, I'm going to try to play through it a different way than I usually do. Or, or what have you. So I thought the length of this game, especially thinking of it as an arcade game, the longer an arcade game is, the more quarters it's going to suck out of you because the more times you're going to have to continue and keep playing and continue. But yeah, as far as this game, the length was perfect. I really enjoyed the game. If we could get rid of that fucking timer, and we could make the controls a little bit tighter, I could have probably given this a 15. Those are that was keeping it from like the same score as you, was really the timer and the controls. The graphics.
Yeah, I guess I like those things and you didn't. There's always something we won't agree on in every game.
Although they were, distracted to me, I could, it's not a big thing. It is mostly the grip. Actually, the controls more than the timer, but the timer is right up there with the controls. But yeah, so 13 out of 16. Yeah. We put that bow on it, wrapped it up, sent it on its way, and said, "Here, Bonanza Brothers, stay in our."
Well, would you say this 14?
This would mine was in your
yours
top
was 13,
10
mine was 15
Genesis games.
Yes, this is like I would say
this is your top three Genesis games.
Yeah, this is third.
Cool. All right, so we should pick our next episode. I was thinking if we can get our next game done by Friday, we can record it before you leave for camp, and then I can just edit it and release it on Monday, and then we can, if we record on Friday, we can pick another game. Otherwise, you want to pick a longer game, or not a longer game, but I would still like to pick a game that we can record by Friday. That way you don't have to worry about doing anything when you get back from camp. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. Obviously it's your time to pick. So what are you interested in seeing me do?
I'm interested in seeing you play. And like I said, core games. I got some games. I do want this to be. Do you think you're gonna be able to have time to play a game and beat it by Friday?
I guess it depends on what the length is.
A super long game. But it is a game that I don't want to pick that one because I think it'd be harder for you. You know what? Fuck it. Castlevania.
Isn't Castlevania like an 8-hour game?
What do you mean? I can beat Castlevania in like fucking. I think the last time I played through it, I beat it in like hour and a half. Dude.
Oh, I was always told that it was a really long game.
The map as like Wizards and Warriors, that same kind of map. It's like but there's actually stages. It's like fuck, how many stages? Like 6 stages or 7 stages. Or 7 levels with 3 stages, but bro, it's Castlevania. It's hard, but it's not super long. Your biggest problem is just gonna be getting good at it.
Oh, I just looked it up. It's only like a 3-hour playthrough. So yeah, I can do that.
Castlevania. Yeah. And that way when down the line we can do Castlevania 2. Which is one of my top games. So yeah, we'll do some Castlevania. So by next Friday we'll have that done. So you have any housekeeping to keep, sir?
Yeah, Twitch, Socko Gaming. I've been streaming basically every day, playing Uncharted, Call of Duty if my friends are on. No music for now, because that interferes with the story of the movie, but if you want to listen to the music I've released, Teenage Prodigy on all platforms.
I say housekeeping, but that's plugs.
Teenage Prodigy on...
Housekeeping's at the beginning.
Yeah. Housekeeping is plugs at the end, housekeeping at the beginning. Yeah. We know. So you'll be able to piece it together. You just gotta listen a few times and you'll know what we're talking about.
Anyhow, so was that all your plugs?
Yeah, Teenage Prodigy, Soccer Gaming.
So
watch me on Twitch.
This has been RetroQuest, my retro video game podcast, where we play video games and we have a kid play video games, and then we talk about video games, and that's basically it.
You're not gonna plug the OG Gamer podcast today?
I don't know if I'm ever gonna get around to doing that the way my work schedule is looking for the next like foreseeable future. But you do have RetroQuest. We are on YouTube. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. That helps. Leave us a comment. If you have any questions, you want to tell us we suck, you want to help maybe suggest a game, give us a comment. Word of mouth. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon Music. Any aggregator of choice you choose, you can probably find us. just listen to us, comment, like us, subscribe us, all those things. Leave us a review. That really, really helps, because when it comes to podcasting on those podcast apps, we don't have any kind of a logarithm that's helping us out. It's just people discovering us. And yeah. So I'm still not very good at asking for people to do things. But fuck it. If you like us, do things that help us. Yeah. Very low energy today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a good episode though. Like, right? We talked. We enjoyed.
Time. We talked about a game.
We did good stuff.
Yeah, it was good. But anyway, so this has been once again. This has been RetroQuest, my retro video gaming podcast.
This has been
where I force my
RetroQuest.
son to play video games, or alternatively, he forces me to play video games. Either way, we play games, have fun, and have a good day.
Sayonara.